chartered psychologist and cognitive behavioural psychotherapist. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about anxiety, what it is, and how if we stay in an anxious state for a long time, it can actually reduce our confidence in ourselves. There is a lot of literature about anxiety and it's a huge topic, so I'm just going to kind of drill down and go through the basics today. But if you are anxious a lot of the time, you will know that you start avoiding things because you worry about them, and that causes anxiety, and so you don't want to do that anymore. So let's kind of dive in about what is anxiety. Well, actually, anxiety is a normal reaction. Every single one of us has the propensity to be anxious because it is our fight and flight system, our threat system, helping us to get out of danger. So if we're anxious about something, usually it's either a thought or it's an actual real event that's coming up, and we're anxious about it. This could be going to get test results from the doctor, sitting an exam, going for an interview, worrying about your children. All of these things will cause anxiety, and these are all quite normal levels of anxiety, normal states of anxiety. However, we also, all of us, differ on the amount of anxiety that is common for us. Some of us are incredibly anxious, and that's probably got a genetic disposition. If you have a very anxious mum, an anxious grandmother, the chances are your base level of anxiety will be slightly higher than people who don't have very much anxiety at all. But we can all become in a state of anxiety if we're faced with a situation where our threat system is triggered. It only becomes a problem if it starts to interfere in our normal life, because as I said, it's kind of a normal phenomenon. We all feel it, we all experience it. If it becomes a problem with you, what you find is that you're anxious over things which you just perceive as anxious. The real things you're anxious about, you probably just get on and deal with them as and when they come up. But if you're constantly thinking about things, or what if this happens? Oh, what if that happens? What if I can't do this? What if they don't like me? What if? Your perceptions of anxiety, you're thinking of things which could cause you anxiety, and that has an effect on all the systems in your body. So to start with, it will trigger your fight and flight system. So you're going to release adrenaline and noradrenaline. And this is going to create body sensations because it's getting you ready for fight or to run away. Or in very, I suppose, more limited circumstances, it might get you to freeze. If you can neither fight nor run away, you might kind of be frozen to the spot, and that is something that can happen to any of us. But usually we either want to get out of there, just get out, or we're going to actually stay and fight. We become angry and annoyed. So then our heart rate increases. We may sweat to actually cool the body down. We might have tingling in the fingers and toes because the blood is going to the parts of the body to get us ready for fight or flight. And this is normal. And this usually doesn't last for too long because it's getting us ready, and our body can only sustain it for so long because the digestive juices will shut down. The parts of the brain which aren't needed other than to deal with threat won't be actually working, so you're not going to remember things. So it is just about getting you out of the threat situation. So your body sensations feel absolutely awful, but it is a life-saving, a safety strategy to get you out of there. Then, of course, if that's all going on in your body, your behaviour is going to change. You're not going to just sit down and do your knitting or paint your nails. Your behaviour will be different. If you're in a kind of a closed environment where you actually have to just stay there, you may become quite agitated. You may become a little bit more angry or snappy than usual. Or you may want to avoid things. You may start avoiding people, but your behaviour will change when you're in this fight and flight system, because all you want to do is get out of there or fight and stop whatever it is from happening. And also this actually then affects your thought processes because you're in a threat, so your thoughts are going to be around threatening things. You will focus more on other threatening things you see in the environment, because you may see 20 beautiful flowers out there, but all you're noticing is the weed or something which has the potential to harm you. Oh gosh, is that poisonous? So you will not notice pleasant things. Your focus is on threat because that's what your body is trying to do to get you out of there. Images, again, they will be more threatening. Memories will be more threatening and negative because this is the body's way of getting you out of there. And of course, if you just threatened, you're in threat just for a particular reason, normally after about 10 minutes, your body will kind of just calm down, you'll deal with whatever it is, and you'll come back down to normal. But if this is a prolonged thing and you're anxious all the time, it can have quite devastating effects. on you and your behaviors and on your thoughts going forward, it can actually reduce your confidence. It can make you less confident because you stop trusting yourself. You stop trusting that actually you're going to be able to deal with things because you're seeing more and more things as potentially threatening. And if something's threatened you before, you will then want to maybe avoid that thing, because these are the things which maintain your anxiety, because you start avoiding anything which has a potential to cause you threat. You're avoiding the fear. And this kind of almost starts to narrow your life down somewhat, because you're not doing the things you would normally do. Because normally, yeah, if you're going for a job interview, it is anxiety provoking, we know that, but it can actually paralyze people into not applying for a new job, not going for a promotion, because they're so fearful of what might happen, because their body feels so awful, the sensations they have, and they use that as evidence. Well, it must be true. I'm going to be found out. No one's going to like me. They're going to realize I'm a complete fraud in the job. So there are many, many negative thoughts that we can have. And our thoughts do become a bit distorted. We, as I say, we crowd out any positive things or any rational thoughts, and we're overly focused on anything to do with threat. And we develop safety behaviours, the just in case things. So we may, if we're anxious when we go on a tube, we may start sitting near the door, or we may not sit at all. We may stand so that we can make an exit, or you may sit because you're afraid you might collapse. You might take a bottle of water, you might have your headphones, you might have a fan. So you'll have all these things just in case, all these safety behaviours which you start doing, and they kind of gather pace quite slowly. But again, they reduce your confidence in your ability to deal with things as and when they come up, because you think everything is a potential threat. So it becomes a huge vicious cycle, the body sensations triggering the thoughts, changing the way you behave. Um, and this, if you get caught up in it, can actually have quite sort of catastrophic consequences for you in the long run, because your life is very narrowed, and also it can compromise your immune system if you're not careful, so it makes you more susceptible to illness. But actually, it just is narrowing your life because you're not doing the things that you want to do, because your confidence has diminished in your ability to do these things. But the good news is that you can regain your confidence in some of these things. And that's what a cognitive behavioural therapist would do. They would look at this, make a formulation about all the safety behaviours you've got, all the things that you're avoiding, the thoughts that you're having, the physical sensations that you're having, and help you to actually overcome all of those things, to drop the safety behaviors and overcome the negative thinking. It's not all going to be done in one session, but as you find that if you do develop lots of safety behaviors, they come over time, again, you can kind of roll those back and you can get to where you used to be, or even better, and actually start to have more confidence in your ability to deal with things as and when they come. Because if you were to do a timeline of your life when things have really happened, like catastrophes have happened, or you've had to deal with very difficult situations, when they happened, when you weren't aware of them, you probably wasn't pleasant and it didn't make you anxious, but you got on and dealt with it. And we forget those things. We just assume that we're not going to be able to do it, that our anxiety is going to get the better of us and keep us trapped. So if you are suffering from huge levels of anxiety, you can go onto the NHS website and you can find a cognitive behavioural therapist. The BABCP have a huge list of therapists in your area that could help you. Obviously, a lot of it's online at the moment, and there's lots of literature out there which can actually help you overcome your high levels of anxiety, because it doesn't need to be something that defines you forever, and you can regain that confidence in yourself and in your ability to do the things you used to do. Well, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this video or got something out of it. And if you like this video, please check out my other videos on my Facebook, Transform Your Mindset, or my Facebook group, Assertive Women. And you can message me at kim@transformyourmindset.co.uk. That's kim@transformyourmindset.co.uk. Thanks for listening, everyone, and have a lovely afternoon. Bye.